Girl, I've been teaching for 22 years. And each year, these kids get more and more arrogant.
Immanuel Kant wrote Groundwork of the Metaphysics of Morals in 1785, roughly 100 years before Mill and Jeremy Bentham wrote about utilitarianism. But in his book, he criticizes the very old view that morality is about making people happier and that it is about reducing suffering. He thinks this is incorrect. For Kant, freedom is not choosing to do whatever you want. For Kant, being free is choosing to act in conformity with the moral law. If you choose to reject the moral law to satisfy your inclinations, you act unfreely because your behavior can be explained as a result of cause and effect.
These kids turned on me. They think I'm a big joke.
For Kant, autonomy, freedom, exists only when human beings act out of respect for the moral law. To do something because of your desires or inclinations is to act unfreely. Let's look at an example. You're going to a movie theater to see a movie you have really been dying to see. This is a premiere screening, and you are going to get a mini movie poster and some other neat swag. But as you're driving to the theater, you see a bloody child in the road. Your choice: you can ignore the child and go on to your movie, or stop and help the bloody child, which is going to take a lot of time. Trust me, I learned that the hard way. It's not like you're not just going to give them a band-aid and go on your way. You're going to have to do this, do that. So you're going to miss your movie. The Bloody Child, now showing exclusively in theaters. What should you do? If you keep on driving to satisfy your desire to see the movie and get the swag, you are not free. Your inclinations are causing you to go to the movie. If you help him because you feel pity or sorrow for him, or because you desire to reduce suffering, that is still unfree because, again, your feelings are causing you to help him. But if you help him not because of such inclinations, but out of duty, or respect for the moral law, then you have freedom. Freedom is following the moral law not out of inclination, but out of respect for doing the right thing for the right thing's sake. But if morality cannot be grounded in inclinations or desires, what can be its foundation? Kant has an answer. Kant's formulations of the categorical imperative are the universal law formulation and the humanity as ends formulation. We follow these principles not to make others happy, but to respect and further human autonomy, the human ability to follow these principles out of respect for the moral law. Here's one of Kant's own examples: the lying promise. You are considering making a promise in order to borrow money from your parents, even though you secretly know you will never be able to repay it. Kant's objection: this violates the humanities as ends formulation of the categorical imperative. Never use others as a mere means to your own end. But it also violates the universal law formulation. There cannot be a world where everyone lies all the time to get what they want, and promise making still exists. The example of suicide. A man is thinking of killing himself because he is in great pain. He wants to use physician assisted suicide. Kant's objection: suicide violates the humanity as ends formulation of the categorical imperative. Don't use people as a mere means to your own ends, because in this case, you would be using yourself as a mere means to an end to eliminate the pain of living. Here's another example Kant gives: letting talents rust. You win the lottery, so you're considering quitting school and just enjoying life. Why bother to develop any abilities to do things when you're rich? You've got more money than you know what to do with. Kant's real problem with this: those abilities you would have gained in school, or however you learned to do things, could have been used to promote human autonomy, freedom. Suppose Cindy has a broken cell phone. If you knew how to repair it for her, she would be able to stop focusing on it and thereby reactivate her choice-making ability. So if you knew how to repair it, you could re-enable her to use her autonomy again. You could promote her autonomy. Both Mill and Kant think it is right to promote human freedom, but Mill thinks you should promote freedom because freer societies are happier societies. That is, you should promote freedom because it will produce happiness and reduce suffering to do so. Kant thinks it's the other way around. Instead, you should promote human freedom in yourself and others instead of promoting happiness. I'm thinking of something else. Sorry, I'll tell you in a minute. What is morally important is in humans is not their happiness, sadness, pleasures, or pains. It's their ability to choose, their autonomy. So you should promote human freedom even when it produces less happiness. And what I was going to say, it really is the opposite of the first one. Mill thinks you should promote freedom to get happiness. Uh, Kant, whenever he thinks you should promote happiness, it would only be because happier people would have more freedom. Now, for Kant, freedom is not choosing to do whatever you want. For Kant, being free is choosing to act in conformity with the moral law. If you choose to reject the moral law to satisfy your inclinations, you act unfreely because your behavior can be explained as a result of cause and effect. If Sandy P decides to leave her husband for Snappy Jones Smith because she desires him or his money or the lifestyle, we can explain her behavior in terms of cause and effect. Deterministically, desire caused her to leave her husband. But if she stays with her husband, even though she desires to go with Snappy Jones Smith, out of respect for the moral law, we can't explain her action in terms of cause and effect. She's acting freely in that case. She's not doing what she wants. She's choosing to act in conformity with the moral law. This is a very different conception of freedom, we'll see later on, than that of Jean Paul Sartre. This is freedom, but it's within the parameters of good morality. Sartre's freedom goes a little bit outside those lines. But there are plenty of cases where he doesn't think you should promote happiness at all. Here's the final one. Okay, this is Kant's most radical example of ignoring human happiness and promoting free choice. Where to be free, of course, is to act in conformity with the moral law. An axe murderer breaks in and asks you if Kate is in your apartment. She is. She is hiding behind the couch. Should you lie to him or tell him the truth? Kant's answer, you should be honest. You should tell him the truth. Being honest promotes human autonomy by letting the axe murderer choose between doing the right thing and giving into his rage, his inclinations. Lying only satisfies your inclination to reduce pain and suffering.
Don't mess with the bull, young man. You'll get the horns.